Doug White from Model Car Muse. Last time I saw this was on the Suede table at the NNL 40th in Toledo. Andy Martin has finished it. It's gorgeous. It's so great to see that progression from primer to what's here now.
Well, it's twin winder. Twin engines, sidewinder. And after pulling my hair out the past couple weeks, it's actually together and presentable. I originally had big plans for working features, like having the rear wheels turn and having gears and shafts, and that way the blower belts would turn. But I was like, that would be a lot of work and engineering. So I decided to just build a static model, and it's been fun despite the hair pulling episodes. Most satisfying part is that it's done. I achieved the look I wanted, and that's really why I build model cars. I want a certain look, I want an attitude, you know, I like the stance of a car, and I don't mind it at all when people look at it and go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I always say a model will capture an era, and there's so much here that is part of that high experimental drag car stuff. Yeah. When guys were like, oh, I'll use maybe 4 engines or an Allison, you know, more cylinders? Yeah. Or how am I going to do this? And which way do I orient the motors?
Well, I have an extensive car magazine collection, and I've looked and looked and looked, and I've never seen this configuration, 2 of them sideways. Single engines sideways, double engines in line, double engines side by side, you know, 3 engines, but never this. So I'm very proud that I came up with something unique. So I had to have a big fuel tank for each one.
Which is machined.
Yeah.
Which is your love.
Yeah. There are a lot of machine parts on the engine. The front and back of the blowers, the injectors, the blower pulleys, the fuel pump, shock absorbers, distributors. And then just below the blower snout is our breather caps. Because this is old school, you had to have breathers. They didn't have positive crankcase ventilation then. And then the motor plates that are engine turned, I actually made those probably at least 12 years ago at a job I was working. I was playing around with the master cam and running it on the CNC mill, and I just programmed in a little end mill that touched down, in rows, and that's how I made the engine turned motor plates.
So you could do all that step and repeat without all the physical exercise.
Yeah, I just put a part in, I programmed it to do the engine turning effect, and then to machine around the outside to get the shape of it, and then put in the 4 holes for the 4 bolts. Right. So that was all done in one step on a CNC machine.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm very proud of the wheels and tires on this one. So these front wheels were a 3D printed part that I found on eBay. Because those are called 12-spoke Halibrands, and they came in 15-inch and 17-inch. I like the 17-inch diameter. It's just a better look. And most of the plastic kit parts are 2-piece. So you've got this horrible seam in the middle.
Right.
And I didn't want to fuss with that. So I saw these 3D printed ones, which were seamless. So I bought them. They came in the mail, and I was very excited. They're just about perfect. But then I put them on the spindle and spun them, and it was a little bit of the clown car effect. They were eccentric a little bit, and then the rims actually didn't look very good. So I made a fixture to hold the wheel. I turned down the outside diameter and then narrowed it up a little bit, and then I machined rim lips out of some titanium bar stock.
Titanium? Whoa.
And then, so I did the basic machining and parted it off the bar, and then I had to make a collet for the exact size to hold those pieces to machine the backside. So it's a sandwich, so it's your 3D printed part and then a rim on each side all glued together. And then I machined the hub out of aluminum.
Out of aluminum, yeah. So that titanium finish is actually titanium.
It's actually titanium, yeah.
Which is very cool, because I've been speaking to a lot of guys who are talking about Alclad, and getting that finish, and getting that color. But this is the real deal.
Yeah, it was just kind of fun. One of the advantages of being a machinist for a living.
And knowing how to cut titanium.
It's really not bad to machine. Okay. It really isn't. Some stainless steels are much harder to machine than titanium. It's like a cross between steel and aluminum. It's just You have to adjust the feed, the speed. There are charts out there for feeds and speeds and cutting. So the rear wheels, I machined the whole tire out of some styrene bar stock. And then I machined one of the white wall inserts out of aluminum. And I made molds of these parts. And I cast up enough to have the 2 tires and the 4 white walls, because it's white wall on both sides.
Inside and outside.
It's on outside. That's an old classic car trick. Old Duesenbergs and Packers, white wall inside and outside. That was classy.
Oh yeah, you could actually see it on those cars.
Yeah, so this also has titanium rims on both sides. I just had some titanium scraps around. I also machined the front tires. The white wall section is one piece, painted it white, and then the black is another piece, painted black, glue them together.
Wow.
There you go.
Now, glue them together. What's your favorite adhesive for that?
Depends on the part.
Yeah.
I use a fair amount of super glue. I use a fair amount of white glue, like crystal clear.
Yeah.
It's excellent stuff. Years ago, I used to use a lot of epoxy, but in the years since, I've soured on epoxies. I'll use JB weld if I need to really build up something or have something when I'm in the construction phase where I need something really strong.
Really strong, like a 24-hour cure kind of.
Yeah, well, they make like a 5-minute or 10-minute JB weld too, but yeah.
And of course the decals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just that vintage.
The stripes on top and the T of the name, Twin Winder, those are actually chrome decals from Studio 27 in Japan. I got them off of HobbyLink Japan, and they were perfect. And then the rest of the verbiage in there, the Wind Winders, that is actually some military aircraft lettering.
Oh, okay.
And it just happened to look good in there. It was sort of a gray. It was a low visibility markings. And then, race cars have to have stickers on them. Contingency stickers, sponsor stickers. And of course have the class and the number on there.
Yep.
A coupe number 5. Then drilled all the holes in back. They often did that to let air out. And I machined the little housing that the parachute's mounted on. Other things to point out here on the bottom. I had some stainless steel shim stock, so I made the floor out of it. So that worked out really nicely. It looks good on the interior side too. So.
Oh yeah. The beauty of that is you have all that stuff that floats, all the parts, the pedals, the mechanisms. Then you have that great tray down there that's a reflector.
Yeah.
It helps get the light in there.
The sides of the cockpit, that's actually some sheet titanium I found.
So for all the metal work in this car, it's not too heavy.
Lift it one time, just grab it like that and lift it once.
All right, I'm going to go in from the sides. I'm going to go from the white walls and the front spindles.
Yep.
It's got some heft.
Yes,
Yeah.
It does have some heft. The wheels and tires are solid resin. The frame is all brass.
All soldered.
All soldered together, yeah.
Super strong.
Well, I try and make things really strong because it has to survive me building it. I'm not one of these guys who's like really delicate. I'm rough on stuff, and I drop stuff. That's the nice thing about brass. You drop it. At worst, it bends a little, and you bend it back.
Right back in shape. And that's brass rod.
Tubing.
Tubing.
Yeah, it's brass tubing. One part of this that I really pulled my hair out doing was the exhaust system. The Cadillac engine has Siamese exhaust ports, so it's 3 pipes coming out of each side of each engine.
I didn't know
And
that.
so I put them together. I machined these collectors, and I got 3 pipes going into each one, and they're all aimed at the rear. So the actual tubes are solder, easy to bend. And I actually made a special bending device for them. I got an old needle nose pliers, and I got a ball end mill, the same diameter as the solder. And so I plunged that into the jaws of the pliers. So now I had a nice round thing, so I could grab the ends of the solder and bend it real nicely without kinking it or marring it.
Yeah, and you're gripping at that very edge, so it's not like if you're trying to hold something in your hand, you don't have it with your, with a squishy thumb doesn't work.
So I could do nice tight bends. The engines themselves are from a Revell parts pack. Those are notoriously difficult to put together and have look good. But I made some changes. I looked through all my parts. I wanted to get the best Cadillac rocker arm covers. And the best ones were from the old Monogram Blue Beetle.
Wow,
the Model 8
really?
pickup with all the surf equipment on it. They were just gorgeous. The only barrier to using them was that they were molded one piece with the head, the cylinder head, and I only had one of them. So I made a mold, I cast up copies, I cut off the cylinder head, and then I got the rocker arm cover and just sanded it until it was just right, and then I used Alclad on it.
What a great piece.
I had a lot of fun, and I'm very happy I'm done. So I started this model in about 2006. When I was here at Salt Lake in 2007, I remember talking to a couple guys about this project I had started.
And it's back.
And it's back finally.
Gorgeous piece.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what comes next.
Oh, I got some interesting stuff.
Oh, well, of course, of course.
Well, I have to finish the Super T-Rex, which you also saw at the primer table at Toledo in 2019.
Well, you told me you were bringing something that was on the primer table, and I wasn't sure which it would be.
That one I've decided that I'm not going to go quite to the level of detail on this one, because I just want to finish it and have the look of it. I'm a little burned out, and the competition has far outpaced me in these shows. It's just that people have gotten so good.
But that's how we'd want it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I have fun seeing everybody else's.
Yeah.
I don't care if I don't win, as long as all the models who beat me were worthy.
It's so good. Thank you so much, Andy.
Yeah.
That's always good to see you.